Um, so let's everyone has heard of Aflac for sure, but let's talk specifically about a couple of those products that you have there. And I know there's lots, but let's talk about an accident plan. Everybody loves a story.
Yes.
So do you have like a real success story that someone would have been rewarded where Aflac really stepped up after?
Yeah. There's a bunch.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of really good stories, especially with the accident plan. That's one, I would consider it one of our most popular, just because accidents can happen to anybody. So one of my most recent stories that I had a gentleman that I sat down with, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago, and he worked for a business kind of on the side, enough that he was eligible for benefits for Aflac through them. But he had a side business where he's a contractor, does his own thing, works for himself, but that's where most of his money comes from.
Okay.
So when we sat down, he said he had gotten hurt previously and realized that if he gets hurt and can't go to work, nobody's going to do his job for him. So he doesn't have any money coming in. And so we looked at an accident policy for him. So if he were to get hurt, he'd have money based on his injuries. So the more severe, the more money. I always tell people, the bigger the boo-boo, the bigger the paycheck. So that's my tagline for that policy.
I like that.
But for him, so recently, he just called me and told me that he was in an accident, crushed his pelvis. He was actually somewhere where there were some forklifts going around, there was a load of steel, he got crushed, broke 7 bones in his pelvis, and of course, because people are people, showed me his scar that wraps all the way around his midsection. But so he calls me when he gets released from rehab. So he was in the hospital for a few weeks, went to rehab, said, Molly, I crushed my pelvis, I've never really filed a claim on my accident policy before. Can you come over and show me how to do this? And because he's not driving or walking very much, I met him at his house and told him what to get from the doctors and the hospitals, which he had most of. So we set up a date. I went over there. He has the direct deposit set up on his app. We filed the claim. His first check from Aflac that came the next day after we filed it was for over $12,000.
Wow.
And he's going to be out of work for a while.
Obviously.
But that goes a long way.
Yeah.
To help offset that. And that it doesn't, because he was on somebody else's property and everything else, it doesn't matter what his health insurance or somebody's liability insurance, it doesn't matter what they pay for those bills. Aflac's still going to pay the policyholder the full amount based on their services. And he still has physical therapy to file. We still have a couple other benefits that we needed bills for. So that is probably, he has the potential for a few more $1,000s that he'll still receive.